Did you miss us? Because we're back, baby! And I have a new mic, so I don't have to like turn my head away. So it's pretty cool. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John. Thank you for joining us today. We took a week off. It feels like we took a year off because we don't take time off a lot. So it's when you do 2 episodes a week, it feels even longer when you're not doing them. But we are here, and I'm very excited to be back. Book of Boba Fett is just a little over 2 weeks away. We got the full crew back with us. So, James, I know you. Don't worry about you. Lacey's back, everybody. Lacey was gone longer than both of us because me and James held it down for a few episodes too. So, Lacey, welcome back. Did you need to use a GPS app to find the base? Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's amazing just because the way we schedule our recording stuff and doing the episodes. I haven't done this for a month, and I don't think that's ever happened since 2018. So I felt very sad and missing everyone. So I'm very excited to be back. Everything went well. I have a baby girl now, so I can't believe it. I'm a parent. That is a thing.
Now, all three of us are now parents. If
Lacey from a year ago could see me now.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's good to have you back.
Thank
you. The triad of the Force is together again, and we wouldn't want it any other way. And we know a lot of people said, "I love John and James, but where's Lacey?"
You guys are so sweet. I know you're doing it just to be nice, and that like. There was a week, and I'm sure everyone that goes through this can attest to it. You get really emotional. I was crying at everything, and I was like, these people are just so nice. And I'm like crying at tweets and stuff. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Did you cry at how much you missed us?
You know, I did get a little teary-eyed when I was like, I'm not in this episode. I feel like I'm not a part of this anymore. And Matt was like,
so it wasn't
what?
Missing us. You were just, you were feeling left out.
Well, that's part of it, though, is that I missed you guys and felt left out.
Okay. Right.
Because you guys would say something, and I'm like, I could chime in right here if I was on the episode.
That is the weirdest feeling when you're listening to a podcast that you're a regular on.
Right.
But you were not on that episode, and it's like you're hearing it.
I don't know if I'd be able to do it. I'd be biting my fist the whole time.
But it was very nice, and I missed you guys, and I missed being, talking about Star Wars, and it's nice to just feel back to normal again because it was a crazy, crazy week of baby delivery that I went through. So, it's nice to be normal again.
Glad to have you back. Welcome back. I know all of our listeners are happy to hear your voice again. James, you're here as well, which is fantastic. So a few days ago now, at this point, we caught that new trailer, which I keep forgetting is a video game, Star Wars Eclipse.
Yeah.
Looks like, we joked about it, we feel like it looked like a mix of, what did we say, Avatar, Dune, and like...
Yeah, Avatar.
You said Blade Runner, I think, James. Like, it definitely has a different feel to it, but we're not going to spend too much time on it. We're not going to get into it in the news Resistance report. But just wanted to, if you guys had anything you want to throw out there to our audience about your thoughts on it, and other than me having to keep reminding myself that it's not a movie, it's a game. But I'm going to watch that story mode for sure whenever they put that on the proper channels.
So I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a lot to talk about, even though it's just the trailer. But, trying to go through and figure out, based on context clues like the era. Like, I know we kind of got some hints that it was from the, or maybe officially, I don't know, from like High Republic. We were kind of getting that vibe.
That's what they said is the official era of it.
Yeah. So you're kind of, but when we watched it, we had kind of forgotten that, and we're like, when is this taking place? We're looking for things, and that's what I'm getting at. It's still coming from the game company that did Heavy Rain, and I don't know about the other games that they've done since then, but that was like that weird, I talked about it once before, it's like not really like a game, it's more like you make choices and you watch the movie kind of happen. So maybe you're closer to right than you think, John. This could be a really interesting like playthrough where you just kind of make the choices and watch the character go through the actions kind of thing. But you gotta imagine it's canon. But
yeah, the one thing I'll say about it is Yoda doesn't like to redecorate because that Jedi temple looks exactly how it looks in the prequels, and this is supposed to be 200 years before. I know like rugs don't survive months in my house. My wife's like, we need a new rug for the living room. Meanwhile, Yoda's like, just buff that floor out. That design is timeless.
mm-hmm.
That's my takeaway.
The thing I think about is when I see stuff like that, like Yoda, I'm always like, give me new Star Wars, give me something unique. And then I see Yoda and I'm like, it's Yoda! Oh my God, Yoda's in this. And I feel like such an idiot because that's exactly what I did. I was like, yo, it's Yoda.
Yeah.
What type of game is it? Do we know what type of game this is? Is this like a multiplayer?
Well, that's what I was explaining.
Action era, High Republic era action adventure game.
Interesting.
That's what the official
description. So is that more similar to like Fallen Order, where you're playing a character and you're doing stuff?
I feel like that's an RPG, no?
No, that's action adventure platformer.
Oh.
But I really don't think you guys understand the full context of Heavy Rain. Please go watch.
I get it. It's like it's like the books that we talked about, like the old school books where you pick
but
up
when I'm
choice
saying
and then you
that,
go to the page. Yeah.
When I'm saying that, and then John follows it up with what type of a game is it? I'm like, it isn't. It's like like
it's a choose your adventure.
Yeah, if you're thinking game in the typical style of game, it might not be that. I don't know. Maybe it's such a big property that they're gonna branch out and do different things. And again, like I said, I don't know what their other two games are. I'm basing this on Heavy Rain and Heavy Rain alone. But it seemed like watching like a quick clip of some of their other games and just the style that like it looks like they have a certain vibe or they're doing a certain thing with their company or their style of games. I don't know. It's
the world
just
looks so detailed.
Like, why do you choose this company when so many other companies could do this, you know? But
yeah,
I think they have this idea in mind of what this game is going to be, and it's not a traditional video game. But I'm probably way wrong on this. They're probably breaking out of what they normally do or something, but
maybe not. But regardless, it just looks really cool. Like James and I really geeked about it when we were watching it. We're planning on posting a small clip of us kind of watching it together on Patreon if you guys are interested. But we were geeking, and I loved how they had all these different creatures and the worlds were just so big. Like everything looked big that where is this going?
It looked like if you were to tell me that it was like an Old Republic trailer that came out a couple years ago or something like that, I'd be like, oh man, because I don't recognize any of this stuff. It seems like all the aliens, well, not all the aliens, but like just the creatures, the ships and the planets and the looks like there's like factions of people. You know what I mean? It's like, it just seems like I don't know that story. And I know it's a new story, but it just really seems so left of traditional Star Wars that it kind of is exciting in that regard. In the sense of, and the
music was so epic
you're unfamiliar with this. This isn't taking place in original trilogy time era or something. It's like way over here.
Yeah, and just everything about it was just so epic. And it was like the ending, James and I were like, what is this? Because it's just so kind of weird, but like cool at the same time.
It was cool too because
what comes of it.
We were doing a Patreon like chat, like a live chat with our patrons, and it dropped at that moment. So we were all kind of watching it together too, which was really neat. I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, it's cool.
We'll see what comes of it. We'll definitely talk about it more as more details come out. But it's pretty fresh in terms of when we first saw that.
I'm interested to see what everyone's favorite part of the trailer was. So definitely let us know in the comments or on Twitter or whatever. I'm interested to see like, hey, this clip stood out to me.
Yeah, for sure.
I miss stuff all the time in trailers and stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to see breakdowns about it too.
Yeah, there were a lot of shots in this one. One of the streets looked like Galaxy's Edge to me, with like the
bandana
wires or whatever ropes going across the...
Yeah, I want one of those green kind of bird monkey things with the beak that the guy has like two baskets of.
I'm sure they'll sell those. Yeah.
They look like monkey chocobos.
Yeah, they have little beaks
from Final Fantasy.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we have other teaser type stuff to talk about as well for stuff that's coming out really soon. So James, why don't we fire up the Resistance report? Have some fun.
It's the Resistance.
All right, John, we got a lot to talk about when it comes to Book of Boba Fett, and the first one is probably going to be a bunch of new trailers, right? I would almost advertise these as TV spots or like additional longer pieces of promotion. A trailer is kind of a teaser, it's all kind of those words are all getting mixed up, but there have been a handful. We're kind of at that era now where people are popping in and saying, oh, there's one new shot in this version, there's one new shot in this version. So we're kind of getting some interesting ones here. But probably the big one would be, and you'll recognize it when I say it had seismic charges in the music. It seems like they were really getting in the core of what do we know about Boba Fett, his history, who he is, what type of music and sounds inspire the thought of this character. And it was a good trailer, and there's lots of new footage that we're going to talk about. I'm actually going to start with Lacey. What do you think about the new footage of Book of Boba Fett that we're seeing?
I have been catching up on stuff, guys, naturally. So I got to catch up on all the little TV spots and stuff and different news, and this was something that when I saw it, I was like, this is so cool. Not only because of the clips that I saw, but also because we're so close to Book of Boba Fett, like you can kind of like touch it, it's so close. Yeah. I thought the footage was cool. I think this was probably one of the best ones that they've released, even over the trailer. I thought this one was just, it felt more epic and kind of like had more hype for me. I think that was due to the music, due to the cut, due to the clips that they used. It just was like the buildup of, the legend of Boba Fett, which, as you guys know, I'm definitely someone that's come into her love for Boba Fett because it wasn't there originally. But I think my favorite shot is probably the end shot. And I know that's such a lame thing to say, is like, of course your favorite is the end. But as a huge Rancor fan, the shot from the grate underneath looking up at Fennec and I almost said Boba Fett. Boba Fett as the chair is sliding forward. I had the like Polly Pocket thing that slid. I love that whole sequence in Return of the Jedi. Is like my favorite sequence in Star Wars. As soon as I saw the sliding chair through the grate, I was like, this is the best thing ever, because it just brought me back to childhood and like what I loved about Star Wars when I was little. And the idea that from what we've heard and what could happen is maybe we'll see another Rancor, which I'm all for as someone that is a big Rancor fan. R.I.P. Hasbro Rancor, because that didn't happen. We'll get to that later. But regardless, I thought that shot was so perfect. And
they didn't make it cute enough.
They didn't. They definitely didn't. That and just like kind of the shots of him and Fennec working together is really cool, and you're getting more of an understanding of who he is as a character coming from The Mandalorian, where you kind of don't get a full picture of him. He shows up and you're not sure how he's going to react, and then he just wants his armor back, but then he's super helpful. But this is a totally different vibe of him, where he's kind of like, yeah, I'm calm, but you're like waiting for him to snap. Yeah. And I kind of love that. So I'm excited to see what comes of it. But this trailer definitely got me the most hyped so far, I would say. Teaser.
Definitely.
Spot, whatever.
My favorite, whatever it is. My favorite shot is when he's got that thing on his face and he's just chilling in his Polynesian spa. Yes, the spa. The spa. John, what stuck out to you in the trailer? Is this show starting to become a little bit more real? Are you getting excited, or are you burnt out on the trailers already?
Well, John did the article. You do have to mention that. So, John, I'm interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I've been finally getting back to writing more. Which, by the way, if you haven't in a while, check out StarWarsNews.com. We have a brand new look. We updated the look of the site.
Looks great
for the first time in its 10-year existence. So Val's been working very hard with the developers on that, and it looks she's a beaut, Clark. She's a beaut. Yeah, this has been my favorite clip so far. Everything collectively The music adds a very theatric vibe to it. It made the show feel bigger to me. The music that they chose for this particular teaser, which I called it a teaser because it's a minute long and has new shots or whatever.
Sure.
But between his voiceover, their focus in this clip on his, near death and the aftermath of his escape, it appears they're teasing us a little more to the fact that they want us to know that we are going to see a flashback in a sense of seeing how he got to where we met him in The Mandalorian. We're going to see like that he was with the Tusken Raiders and he went to Jabba's palace first before getting his armor, probably scout things out. That shot of him overlooking Jabba's garage, as I call it, is what I used for the thumbnail. But I also like the fact that we're going to see elements of Jabba's palace that we only got, the tip of the iceberg in Return of the Jedi. I feel like there's going to be a lot more we're getting into, kind of like the Clone Wars tried to do a little bit. We're going to see more nooks and crannies of this place, including what appears to be the menagerie. And
we should mention too that people were happy to see that Battlefront maps were made canon in
Very
this
cool.
case. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So
Yeah.
like you have been able to get down to that area of Jabba's palace before, but it was like whatever, and then now you're seeing it in the show and you're like, holy crap, that's like the Battlefront map is now
that
live
is
action.
really cool. Yeah, and this is like, they call this clip The Return, so they wanted to make this the focus on him coming back out of the Sarlacc, and I don't know whether they're going to physically show him leaving, but that line, which maybe things pieced together, where it says, "Left for dead on the sands of Tatooine, I am Boba Fett," and I think that's really cool. It's just the most dramatic of all the clips so far. It didn't have necessarily the most action, but some of the shots reminded me of The Mandalorian, seeing those alien creatures on those speeder bikes. It gave me a really good vibe for what the show's going to be, and it was hands down, without question, my favorite clip trailer they've given us so far. So it has certainly increased my excitement and my hype level, and I don't know, curious to see. I don't really need much more at this point. We're a little 2 weeks from Wednesday. We get the first chapter of this thing, and one thing I have seen a lot of people talking about is they think most of what we've seen from these clips is going to be in the first chapter or two. And, we know there's only 7. So I'm wondering if, because it's not 8 the way The Mandalorian is, are these going to be a little longer? Or are they just doing 7 episodes of maybe the 30-minute thing? We're not really sure, but
I'd love
either
longer
way,
episodes.
I'm excited to see. And I would actually love it if they did only show us stuff from the beginning. But that Rancor stuff that they're teasing, that we
That
reported
shot is
about.
so beautiful.
At
That
this
shot
point,
from the Great, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to check it out, we have the article where we reported on what's going on there. But if you don't, you want to see it yourself, fine. But I'm very excited for all that.
I think the title of this is interesting too, because they call it The Return. I think that, John, you mentioned why this particular one would be called The Return, but I think what this does is it kind of hints that they're going to do a few more of these, probably like, the build up, the destroyer, or something, or something like that. Because they've done that in the past. When people post the trailers, they go like
maybe one a week.
TV spot happy, TV spot, whatever, like they give them these little titles and stuff. So that kind of is interesting, that it kind of hints that we might be seeing more of these specific type things. I mean, a lot of this stuff, in some ways, it feels like we're getting a lot of new clips, but it all very much fits into what we've seen so far. Is like the vibe. It's like, okay, that's another scene we haven't seen before, but it didn't really make me feel that like this show is going to be like different, very similar to what we've seen before. But I do like seeing a lot of these bigger cities and a little bit more of the nooks and crannies, including, there's you can look at, I don't want to call it a rumor, I guess fan speculation that some of these scenes are pulled from the deleted scene where Luke goes to Tashi Station. You can actually see Tashi Station, or the little bar there, or whatever it is, the little hangout area. Possibly even seeing some of the characters that were in that scene years later and kind of grown up now. Probably, I don't know, maybe even bringing back the same people. Not really sure. But no, I mean, it's cool. I don't know. Just so many little details and stuff to get excited about again. You know, there's these little cars like driving through the city and stuff like that. It's like, oh man.
Well, also what I think is cool is they're going back to that whole idea that, and maybe it could be a wink to it, that, you know, Obi-Wan was just dressed as somebody from Tatooine. And because we saw someone looking very Jedi robish there, and, you know, a lot of the people in A New Hope on Tatooine look like, dressed like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then in the prequels, he's like, no, those are Jedi robes. You know, that's what the Jedi wore. So whoever we're seeing get slapped around here or whatever, just, you know, could be just some town folk or somebody who knew Luke, or like you're saying, or, you know, it's I like that they were kind of restoring the original look of people on Tatooine.
Right.
So here's another one, Lacey, that you know, you've been out of it a little bit, so you might not have picked this one up, but in the shot where they show everybody sitting at the table, you look in the background there, it looks like there's one of Jabba's droids working as like a bounty hunter. And I think it's the one that it does the like foot thing. You know what I'm talking about? He flips the other robot upside down.
Yeah, the gonk droid.
Yeah, it's not the gonk droid. Well, yeah, but the
8D8
other one,
or whatever.
It looks like that's him chilling. So in that time,
so
he found himself like a new job.
Yeah, that was one of my indirectly funny moments.
Oh yeah.
Was
that's
the
right.
feet getting burned.
Unintentionally funny.
Yeah, unintentionally.
Yeah. So I think some people were eyeballing that looks like the same droid because he has the same eyes and style and stuff.
Yeah, this show is gonna have so many Easter eggs. Like, I don't know if my eyeballs are ready because I feel like I'm never gonna find them all.
Yeah, it feels like it can really expand on Return of the Jedi in a really cool way. I mean, we saw from that first one the little monk spider thing, you know, walking around, and everybody's they do that on purpose immediately because everybody can go, oh, Return of the Jedi, and they can just like immediately click to something. Nostalgia. And that sets the tone for the rest of the trailer that you're getting ready to watch. And I think this one does the same thing, with the first shot being sand troopers and him looking over at Jabba's palace from the rock perspective, you know?
You mean Tusken?
Yep. What did I say?
Tusken Raiders?
Tusken
Sand troopers?
Sand troopers. I was trying to say sand people.
Sand people.
Yeah. And
Tusken
I think Raiders all together.
Yeah, this show, Mandalorian's like this too, but I think specifically this one, just because of who the main character is, it's going to be one of those shows that every time you go to watch it, you're going to notice something different. You're going to be like, oh, I didn't see that the first time I watched it. Oh, I didn't see that the second time I watched it. Because there's just so much going on. Well, like the scenes are so detailed in, from like the foreground all the way to the background.
Another thing to mention quickly is that Total Film also did an article that had a new photo of him, you know, looks like he's like burning people down. And a couple of the interviews there where they were talking to Ming-Na Wen and Tamara Morrison about the return of the characters and what they're up to and how they get along. Like, why do the two of them hang out? And they had some really awesome answers. John, what were you getting ready to say, or do you want to move into the answers that they gave?
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I think we have plans to on Thursday to talk more about this, but I think they probably went through a lot of lists and toying with the idea of, you know, who survived to the explosion of the sail barge, and like, could that character come back as a brief cameo? It doesn't have to be a big deal or anything like that. Like, imagine they bring Salacious Crumb back or something like that, and he's just still roaming the halls of Jabba's palace. I think it'd be amazing. But this relationship thing is going to be interesting because I just still think Boba Fett works best as a mysterious loner. And I know they're trying to give him an arc, and when you give someone their own show, you have to do that. I just can't help but think that something's going to happen on a permanent level that splits these two up, whether she betrays him, he betrays her, which I think would be cooler, because I don't want Boba Fett to be like the hero or the anti-hero, because we already have that in Din Djarin. It'd be too much of a retelling of this story where I'm this bounty hunter and now I have a heart of gold. It's like, you just gave us that story.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want Boba Fett to be an, you know what? So I think it'd be cool if like he throws her to the wolves, like just in some sort of like Greek tragedy sort of way where he betrays her. And I think that would like cement himself as a villain. I think that would make people not. I think people are going into the series expecting this is the Boba Fett hero story. I think it would be amazing if he's the lead character and he's like, no, I'm a bad person.
Like, you have to remember when he was a child.
Amazing.
When he was a child, he was laughing about Obi-Wan Kenobi being dead. Like, let's not forget, like, his whole life he's been, like, kind of on that bad side.
And if you're familiar with the Clone Wars, too, like, he's been on a mission to, like, murder Mace Windu. Like, really hates that guy.
Yeah,
you know?
he was, like, a young teenager recruiting
Yeah.
assassins and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what they do. I'm going to end up enjoying it anyway because I like Robert Rodriguez. I like what they've been doing with live-action Star Wars series. I'm just saying I think it would be cooler because I think the pulse of fans right now are thinking like, this is Boba Fett's time. He's going to get this arc. He's going to be like the sort of this anti-hero sort of thing. Again, I already saw that story with Din Djarin. I want to see Boba Fett be a bad guy to the fullest, and I think it'd be even cooler if he betrays Fennec Shand and this ends and he gets to go off in future stories in Star Wars where he's not necessarily the star of the show, but he gets to be Boba Fett again. And every once in a while, there's a 2.5 hour movie and we see a 1.5 minutes of Boba Fett doing something cool. You know, like I think that would be awesome. So I'm curious the way they go with it, but she's touching on the fact that there's this unorthodox sort of weird relationship and a familial thing. But when it comes to crime stuff, like Sons of Anarchy and stuff, those people always say we're family, but all they do is stab each other in the back. That's how these crime families work. So hopefully we get in the mix with that and it becomes interesting. But we'll see what they do.
So what I was gonna say is like I hope I don't eat my words, but I feel like I'm kind of in a good spot because I could if the show goes in either direction, I feel like I'm okay with it. I'm not hoping that it goes in one of the two directions. But the thing is they seem to be leading with this article that they respect each other because they believe in that code and they honor that code. And I start thinking, you know, you're totally right. Like if they make this guy the good guy and the, you know, whatever, that feels very Mandalorian. But, you know, there is kind of an angle there to the fact that Din Djarin broke the code. He recognized.
I think the code is the bounty hunter code, though. Not
no, I know it's different, but what I'm saying is like there was this code to, you know, you're not supposed to ask questions about the child and all this other stuff, and he was like, I got to do the right thing, and in that case, him following the code and honoring the code and them getting along from that aspect would be kind of the bad guy. Because when put in the situation of there being a child, Boba Fett would walk away with Fennec on his side, but the child would die. You know what I'm saying? Like him following the code can be the thing that makes him cold and ruthless and different from Din Djarin in that sense, which is the thing that makes these two get along because they're not going to turn their backs on each other because they're both just as honorable when it comes to that code or that promise. So I could kind of see it going in that direction and still being okay and being cool while being different from what we did see in The Mandalorian. That all being said, like, I mean, I trust these creators so much that I really can't imagine people are going to look at this and be like, it just feels like The Mandalorian. Even if they did do that, people like The Mandalorian, you know? So, like, whether it's completely different from The Mandalorian or it's kind of similar to The Mandalorian, I think people are going to feel good about this show. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully it doesn't ruin someone's idea of Boba Fett. That would suck, you know, and I hope that doesn't end up happening because it's very real when it comes to like, you know, they could do something with Luke and people are like, I don't like it. It ruined my Luke, you know? It's like
at the end
Boba
of the
Fett,
first chapter, they find a baby Wookiee in an egg.
Yeah. It's
and they're like, we're like, what are you? Come on, guys, what are you doing?
He's like, they're like, Boba Fett. And he's like, don't call me Boba Fett. Call me by my real name. It's like some really stupid, like some dumb name.
Bin Barin.
yeah, exactly. Bunky Boo. That's my real name. Call me Bunky Boo. No. But no, we're all very excited about the Book of Boba Fett, but there
was
are
a quote that stood out to me though. So
take it.
In this article, I think the thing that stood out to me, which is obviously going to play into our episode coming up, but it was just one of those things I was like, interesting, was when they asked if Din Djarin was going to show up in the Book of Boba Fett.
True.
And Tem said, I can't say anything, but we have some wonderful, colorful things to look forward to. I don't want to say too much about it because we're all going to go in on this journey together, and every little bit of information is pretty precious now. I loved that answer. I loved that he's like, we're doing this journey together. Like, let's save the story. Let's keep the surprise as a surprise. But that to me says, because he said wonderful, colorful things, there are going to be numerous things.
I feel like he gave it away,
moments. Though. You think so? I mean, he's obviously saying something's going to happen, but the fact that he said things to me is like, oh, so there are numerous things.
It's a good quote to say, guys, so many surprises. I can't answer this.
Yeah,
I can't talk about everything that's coming. There's just so much. I like that aspect of it. But I think
you're
he
saying
gave
about Din Djarin.
I think he gave it away
yes.
in that answer where they're saying like, was that Din? He's like, I don't want to spoil the surprises. You know, it's like, or no, you know, like, or I don't know what you're talking about, you know.
But it's very easy to get him in the show because you don't have to get Pedro on set, of course. You just have to have him record a couple lines.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool, like, did you guys ever watch Scrubs?
Yeah.
They would always do this one-off because the show was always about JD and it was in his inner monologue. And every once in a while there'd be an episode where he touches somebody in the shoulder and they took over as the narrator for that episode. I think it would be interesting if that's kind of what the Book of Boba Fett is, since they're calling it season 2.5 of The Mandalorian. At the end of the series, Din Djarin shows up, and they have this sort of crossing of paths, and that's what kicks off the Mandalorian season 3 sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
makes sense.
that's the way it's going to end, is it's going to be handed off kind of baton-like to Din Djarin.
Yeah.
So I think I went into this expecting he's going to show up at least by the end, where he has to go find him, and he's like, hey, man, we got something we got to do together. Hey, I heard about this thing. And then that's going to lead you into the next season.
Boba Fett gets launched toward another Sarlacc, and he, like, high-fives Din Djarin on his way in. He's like, your turn. He's going to
I thought
into a Sarlacc again.
As long as it doesn't burp this time.
I thought it was funny, too. Him
Yeah.
saying, I don't want to spoil the surprises because we're on this journey together. No, we're not. We're on this journey. You're not on it, Tim. You know
you
everything.
You can't sit with us, Tim. You can't sit with us on
exactly.
this journey.
You already know what happens.
If I'd seen the Book of Boba Fett and I knew everything about it, and you guys were like, hey, James, what happens in the show? And I'm like, I don't want to spoil any surprises. We're on this journey together. It's like, no, we're not. You've seen it.
He's got the
He's
got those PR, those PR marketing index cards. He's
exactly.
You can't sit with us.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, what I was alluding to before is we're all very excited about the Book of Boba Fett, but there are other shows that we are also excited for, and that is the Acolyte, because there's news revolving around that show. Now, it's kind of one of those things. It was one of those wild rumors reported by one site, and then it got notably backed up by Variety, a more trustworthy source. So we're kind of running with it as the story, but as it is right now, Amandla Stenberg has been cast as the lead role in the show, as we've heard before from Leslie Headland. She wanted to cast a very specific female type character, and kind of loosely, we all kind of got the vibes of maybe like a Dr. Aphra type character. So when you look at Amandla here in some of the other roles that she's played, she seems to fit that bill. Seems like if she's not cast, and Variety's wrong, this report is wrong, that she's probably in the running. She's probably in that category of people who are looking, they're looking at very closely. John, I'm going to start with you real quick on this one. What are your thoughts on the casting of Amandla Stenberg?
I'm not familiar with her, and I know, people are going to bring this up in terms of like the pronouns. I believe she uses they and them, but she also is okay with she and her. So I'm gonna, try to respect that. But I'm not familiar with Amandla. It's hard to say that. I want to say Amandla Stenberg, and what they've done. But I like that we're getting info on this show because, as we always say on this show, whenever we get casting announcements, it becomes more real. And when we're talking about Star Wars and their productions and a lot of the issues that they've had, we haven't heard cast members for Rogue Squadron yet, and we know that that's stumbling a bit. When you hear that someone's locked in, an actor, that makes you feel like it's on more solid footing because they're not, their agents are not booking any jobs for them from this period of time to this period of time or whatever have you. Because when you book an actor, you have to know when that show is going to be filming. So they have filming dates set for this show. So that's a good thing too. And Leslie Headland, Russian Doll, I enjoyed very much. You didn't hear any drama about that show in terms of production. Maybe they finally have one of those little diamond in the rough things where no one's really talking about this show very much and it's laying in the weeds because we have these big other things coming up. But maybe this is going to be the one. They're like, and Star Wars went seamless with that production. We never talk about that. The Acolyte came, they produced it. It was great. So I like that fact. They did say early on, Leslie Headland had said that this is going to be a lot of females as leads. So we have one here. It's got to be Sith based, so we don't know if Stenberg's playing a Sith or what have you. I just don't know enough about this show, so it's hard for me to give a take on. I can't wait to see them do this or do that. I think for now, until we learn more, I'm most excited about the fact that we're getting details on this show. Could they have put this out a few weeks ago, Disney Plus Day? Maybe. I'm sure this didn't just happen. But again, the fact that you got to put it in the win column because we have another Star Wars show that a lot of people have been talking about for a while that looks like it's really moving closer to production. And I believe the report was this is starting filming in like March or May, one of those two. I always mix those two up. So this could be May. So you're looking at May. These shows seem like they typically film for 6 months. So you're looking at a May to November, which could set you up for an early summer release in 2023. And we have who knows what we have going on that year in addition to Ahsoka and stuff like that. So it just seems like good news to me. I do need to do a little more research on the actor and find out and watch some things that they've been in, but I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Amandla Stenberg?
Well, I'm gonna jump to Lacey because she's probably most notably to most people. She was in the Hunger Games.
This is when my two worlds have united.
Yeah,
I gotta see these movies finally. I don't know why I haven't
District
watched them.
4's own Rue.
No, 11.
11? Oh, I thought it was 4.
She's 11. Oh my god.
All right. No, but Lacey, so you were familiar at least with that particular piece of work that she's done. Did the name stick out? Otherwise, have you followed her career since then at all?
They've done a lot of stuff. They've done some YA movies, and then they did I apologize, Sleepy Hollow. But I know Amandla most from the Hunger Games. She played Rue, which was a pretty big role. Not in the sense of like, Jennifer Lawrence, but the moment is a big moment in the movie where the character dies. So, I'm excited to see.
I just told you I haven't watched it.
Well, sorry. You had like how many
It was
years?
a secret death. She may or may not come back to life later, John.
It's only been out for 10 years.
It's only been out forever.
So she was in this show when she was like 13 then, or that movie.
Yeah. Amandla played a 12-year-old character.
Wow, because I just looked it up. She's only 23. Yeah.
Yeah, she was young then.
So, I'm excited to see what they do with this role. I think this show in general is like a big question mark to me, with the exception of the logo, which is like sick, but like that's all I really know besides who's doing it and how passionate they are about Star Wars. Leslie Headland, like, clearly in every interview that we've discussed here on the show, we say time and time again, like, clearly she knows her Star Wars. She loves Star Wars. She wants to be a part of Star Wars, which is fabulous and wonderful. But other than that, I don't know much about it besides that they're focusing on the Sith side of things when the High Republic is coming to an end. It is very interesting just because we were talking about at the top of the show, the new video game that's coming out next year, which is also High Republic. And obviously we have High Republic books. So I feel like for a long time, James, we've been discussing, like, are they going to explore this time period in other mediums and other content? And clearly they are. Like, that is not a question.
Like, nobody believed live action, and then Acolyte was kind of on the border, and then everybody's like, okay, well, but that's probably as far as the close they'll get. And then now they're doing the video game thing, and the video game isn't like a mobile game or something. It looks very much like
it's a full world building.
Thing. So it's definitely interesting that the High Republic might actually get a little bit more mainstream shine in this case.
But I think Amandla's going to do a good job. They've been known for doing good jobs in all their roles. And she's definitely got, especially in the picture we chose for the article, she's got that bad Sith look going with the dark eyeliner. So I'm all for it. But other than that, I really don't know that much about this. And I can't wait to learn more.
That's the thing. Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie. My head's kind of in Book of Boba Fett right now. Waiting to see what happens with that. But once we get more updates from when this shoots in May, I can't wait to know more. I really hope, since it's starting to shoot in May, maybe they'll shoot something a little early in May and we'll get something at Celebration, which is later in May. We'll get like a clip or a, hey, we're on set, or some pictures or something. Like
or a premise.
Synopsis. Yeah. Something would be fabulous. Maybe even cast interviews or like introduction to the cast would be great.
You know what?
Yeah.
What could be good to watch, maybe? He was in this thing called The Darkest Minds. It's about a dystopian superhero film.
Yeah.
So I don't know if, that seems like they could do some action stuff in there.
So when I saw the announcement, whenever it comes to any sort of casting like this, I kind of do I'm not very familiar with this person. Let me go see if I can find clips or something of them, in different roles. And it just so happened the top result for this character, or for this person, was like an IMDb thing that they put together that was like, hey, here is this person in a lot of their roles. And it kind of felt a little like the Oscars, where they have like, oh, and here for the best actor, here's a clip from the movie they're in. And it's always like the best scene from the movie where they like were putting 110% into their thing. So it was really cool like to watch this particular montage of scenes from her, because it felt like every one of them was like her on her A game. Like this was the best she was in the show. So if you guys can find that, I looked and it seemed like she was very diverse as far as like, emotional scenes here, or like action or anger scenes here. So it seemed like she was kind of all over the place. I would imagine this is a good pick, and we should be excited about it. I'm going to throw this out there, and John and Lacey don't know this yet. I don't believe this report. Because to me, the site that ran it is a site that I look at that and immediately discredit it. Anytime it comes up. The only reason that this has clout right now is because Variety backed it up. But when I read the Variety report, it says that site was the first to report it. It doesn't seem like Variety is also backing it up or reporting it. It seems like they're reporting it based on the other site's report.
So here's the thing on that, though.
And John, maybe you can change my mind on this.
Well, Variety wouldn't just report it unless they also had viable sources who told them the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things. My best guess would be Variety had one source on it. Big trades like to triple source things. They probably weren't able to lock down a second or third source, so they're like, they reported it too, and they definitely don't talk to our people, so we're gonna run it.
And that is, it's right on the border for me, where I go, that seems not very trustworthy to me. And it kind of surprised me that Variety backed it up in the way that they backed it up. We're saying, hey, we think this is happening. because these other people were the first people to report it. And I was like, I don't trust that source. I don't trust the other one as far as I can throw.
I don't like slinging arrows at other outlets and stuff like that. I know that, Illuminati, maybe they've turned a corner or they have, better sourcing now, but they certainly were one of the sites that, like Clayton Sandell had to personally go to Disney and debunk one of their stories that said George Lucas was coming in to take over Andor. That was one of their exclusives a couple of years ago. And you either just make that type of thing up or you talk to somebody who really just made something up, because that's just not happening. So they may have, credit to them. If this is right, then they're really doing a great job. So that's all I'll say.
And that is absolutely true. It's like, I have no problem eating my words. If this does end up happening, then let the record show that they were the first to report it. That's totally fine. That's going to happen. I'm just in a world where I've said in the past couple weeks, I even when Disney says things, this movie's happening, this Rangers of the New Republic, it's happening. And it's like, no, it's not. As it turns out, we're not getting it. So I'm always kind of holding a lot of this news in different levels of pinch of cinnamon, John, and this one, it just feels like it's not quite making the cut for me because of what I've explained. But that being said, it's nothing against Amandla, and I think she looks great, as an actress, and would be a good choice for this. So if it happens, then we're in a good spot as Star Wars fans. One other thing I wanted to talk about really quick is the comics are still like going real strong. And I don't know how many people are reading what's going on there, but Crimson Reign dropped their first issue, and it's another look into what has been going on with Qi'ra and the Crimson Dawn and everything that's going on with that stuff. Lacey, I imagine you have not had the time to catch up on all the comics that are going on.
I read the recap on Star Wars Newsnet, which, by the way, guys, if you can't keep up with things like me, where I had a crazy life-changing event, then go to StarWarsNewsNet.com, because they run through all the details and break it down in a way that's really easy to understand when you don't have the time to read every single thing. Way to go, Kyle. So, anyway, my response to this is, I'm very surprised at how much they're going into Qi'ra. When she first showed up in the comics, I know we were all surprised on the show, where we're like, really? They're bringing her back? This is such a big deal. I got messages from people about it before it came out.
What does this mean?
Yeah, where is this going? And I think it's really cool that they're exploring this character, but I really hope it doesn't take away from the chances of her coming back in live action, because I think that's a missed opportunity, that if they're only going to give her comics to kind of explore these storylines. The thing that stuck out to me was the panel where she's with Maul, and he's talking about how he wanted to kill Sidious, and she was there when she was listening to him talk about killing Sidious, and I was like, wow, everyone wants to kill Sidious. Maybe
Seems
if
like
he
he's
actually
very
did it,
open
we
with
wouldn't
those
have the
feelings.
rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. So it's Maul's fault.
Yeah, it's all Maul's fault. That's basically what I thought.
I like that movie.
I'm just joking. Just kidding around. That's just one aspect I don't like about
You're going to get dragged.
I'm going to get dragged about not wanting Palpatine in the movie. I don't think so. But yeah, no, it's super interesting to see her interact with all these different characters from different comics. The Knights of Ren are there, and you're like, man, these guys are getting the backstory they never got in the movies either. So it's like all these different characters that I'm like, I actually want to see these characters on screen and explore these stories. So I feel like I'm kind of like, ugh, I wish they weren't pushing this all to the comics. But I'm happy that the stories are being told, and that they're being put into canon as things that have happened. But yeah, I think the most interesting thing to me was the Maul stuff, where she's talking about how she viewed him wanting to take down Sidious, and then she was going to take that on, and what does that mean, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I definitely think it's interesting the way they've, even at this point too, this also is kind of, it's not, well, shoot, I'm trying to piece it all together here. Yeah, never mind. I take it back. I'm sitting here thinking like, when was Maul even like around? When was this scene, and stuff? But this would
Right.
be like earlier when she was working with
It was
Maul.
a flashback, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it is interesting to show that they were closer. He says in the movie we're going to be working very closely, and there they are in the same room, kind of planning stuff together and overhearing. He still has that hatred for Sidious and all this, so it's going to be exciting as the show continues, or as the series continues on, because they might give us a little bit more insight into what was going on at that time period. And we've had our back and forth on what that means for Make Solo 2 happen. At times we think that
Right.
it means something bad, like you said, Lacey. But I remember when we first got the news, John, and you can take over here if you want, but it was exciting because it means that they're testing the character again with fans to see what the vibe is on it, and that it could actually raise awareness of that era and get excited for the character to return in a way.
Yeah, I know Ray Park kind of screwed things up by his antics, without question. So, but I don't see a situation where he's going to hold up a live action Maul. They can find someone to be Darth Maul, and
They have the voice of someone else anyway.
yeah, and get stun people, and have Whitwer do the voice or whatever. This comics, it's interesting. I mean, it definitely makes me sad. You got to remember that Qi'ra was trafficked.
She didn't get
and
out.
Yeah, she was human trafficked, and forced into this life and couldn't
And branded, yeah.
And Han, with his just like love for her and his blinders on, wasn't listening to her cues and stuff like that. But I can deep dive Solo all the time. Not here to do that now. But you're right, James. They are going heavy with Qi'ra, and I think that is certainly something they want to keep fans in the buzz of, in terms of where this character has gone in the years since Solo. And they haven't shown us how she got to this point yet. So that definitely leaves a window open. And I think the live action would be a very, very juicy spot to tell that story, without question, to bring back Emilia Clarke, because she's amazing. She is Qi'ra. Which takes me to my criticism of this. I don't like the artwork of this comic. I don't like how she looks. I don't think, when I look at this person, I don't see Qi'ra. I don't see Emilia Clarke. I see like Jennifer Connelly or something. Like, for some reason in the other one, the War of the Bounty Hunters, they kind of really made it look like Emilia Clarke, and the whatever artistic choice they took on this one, and I don't know how the jockeying goes between, does the writer have any sway on what the artist does? Or they kind of like, nah, that's your turf, this is my turf, but this is kind of what I'm going for. This doesn't look at all like Emilia Clarke to me. That kind of bothered me. Like, imagine seeing a Luke comic in this era and it looks nothing like Mark Hamill or something. That's how I look at that. Each character, and it doesn't matter how popular a character is. Luke obviously is more recognizable to the masses, but a character is a character, and I believe in continuity. I think that's important to help you suspend your disbelief. I want to see Emilia Clarke's face here. Just like if you tell old Obi-Wan comics, I want to see the Ewan McGregor style maybe, and then if you tell an older Obi-Wan, you want to see Alec Guinness sort of thing. So they did nail the Emperor though on the cover. That looks exactly like Return of the Jedi Palpatine. I think they did a tremendous job there. But this is a sad story. Like, Qi'ra is in command and she's badass and stuff, but she shouldn't be. She only is this because she got taken. She wanted to be with Han Solo, being on this love adventure across the galaxy. This is a tragic story, no matter how powerful she is now or how comfortable she is in her position. This sucks. It does. So I agree with Kyle.
It's not going to end well. That's basically what you're feeling. Yeah.
I am feeling that, and a part of me hopes, like, Kyle put a romantic sort of tinge on this, and he doesn't. I don't mean literally romantic. I mean romanticize the story in the sense where maybe she fakes her death and goes back to like she was, kind of like off the grid, and she gets to go into hiding a bit, leaves Han alone because she doesn't want to get him caught up in trouble or something. Like, still has a soft spot for him and loves him enough to avoid him.
Let him go.
That will explain why she didn't surface during the original trilogy and all that stuff. You can help, fix those potential plot holes. So I like how they're dancing around it. It's just the whole thing about Qi'ra and the more powerful and deeper she gets into this, the sadder I get about what happened to her. And so I feel like now I need to see how she got from the end of Solo, where she lets Han go, lies and says he got killed to try to save his ass because she loves him
again,
and then how she gets to this point where, you know, Maul gets killed by Kenobi, she takes the reins, all of that. Like I gotta see that, and the only way I want to see it, and it's not like, oh yeah, I better see it this way, but the only way I want to see it is
Kathleen
Emilia
Kennedy's
Clarke,
taking
because
notes right now. It's John says he's got to see it.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, you say you want something, and people are like, "How dare you
demand?"
I'm not demanding. Just shut up. But you know, I want to see Emilia Clarke because she is Qi'ra, and she did such an amazing job in Solo. So,
and she wants to return.
She said she had ideas for the character and stuff. So they still have that gap there. I'm still holding out hope. We'll see what happens, but it just makes me sad. It makes me sad because she got freaking human trafficked, and this is where she's at. Weird.
Do you know who is not sad reading this comic?
No.
Charles Soule's grandkids?
Nope. Legends fans.
Oh, yes. Shout out
Because
to the Empire.
mentioned in this dark underworld crime syndicate story was, of course, Black Sun. But then as they went in a little bit more detail, they talked about who was currently kind of a leader in Black Sun, and that was Prince Sizor, who is a character from Shadows of the Empire. And so this is his first mention in anything canon. So people are starting to get excited that they're going to see that character return in a new way, shape, or form. It could mean bigger things down the line. You know, you could see this guy show up in a live action show here or there, like Solo 2, for instance, maybe, I don't know, whatever. But no, that was just another thing that we wanted to touch on a little bit, that there was some excitement and stir over this particular issue 1.
That's interesting.
Because it was bringing back an old Legends character that was sort of a fan favorite. So
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that. There were a couple other things in Star Wars that we wanted to mention really quickly before we get out of Resistance Report. And one of them still deals with, you know, hey, you know, when you're looking at all the stuff in the comic thing, don't forget that Darth Vader is still going on right now, and it's really taking a turn as he's working with OG of Bastoon, and they're working together, and they're coming up with all these different plans. That's another article that you should go over to StarWarsNewsNet.com and check out if you aren't able to keep up with it. But we wanted to make sure that you know, you recognize that it's kind of tying in with Crimson Reign, and you know, he's trying to also put a stop to what Qi'ra has been planning. So I don't know, it kind of builds up her credibility a little bit. A couple other things real quick too. The Old Republic expansion. Now, this is not canon, but if you were looking forward to the Legacy of the Sith expansion that was supposed to come out in December, it has been delayed to 2022, but not too long, February. So just that's right around the corner. Little delay, no big deal. Oh, we'll see it soon. But if you know, hey, hold yourself over by going checking that Eclipse trailer again, because to me it looks very Old Republic video gamey. So get excited. Lots of video game news on the horizon. One last thing, Lacey mentioned this long earlier in the show. The Black Series HasLab Rancor campaign did not fail, or did not manage to meet all of its backers.
And it's
it
the
was
first Star
short.
Wars one. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So every other one was funded, and it looked like it was doing pretty well for a long time. But right at the end, the 11th hour, it was unable to make it. They needed 9,000. I'm not sure the exact number, I forget, but it was like 8,964. Yeah, very close. But just shy of you know, they have to make money. It has to make money. It has to be profitable for the company in order to do it. Didn't make the numbers, so they closed out the campaign. It did not happen. It's very unlikely that we will see this. But hey, they made some really cool videos, and we can all dream. That's it for Resistance Report this week. I'm going to send it over to Lacey really quick to do our next section.
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways you can support us. You can like this video, comment, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on all the different audio apps like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave a review for us. It really helps us. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN or on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. If you want more than just 2 episodes a week, including exclusive mini episodes, live streams, much more, you can head over to patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast, where starting at $2 a month, you support what we do here and what we're going to be doing in the next year as Star Wars kicks into high gear as like the biggest year it's ever had. You support everything that we're doing and much more. And you guys get cool content, and we're heading into Celebration, and we're going to do different types of giveaways and stuff like that. And it's going to be awesome. So yeah, definitely head over there. But this is a part of the show where we let our generals and our spice runners, which are 2 top tiers, be a part of the show. So before we get into that, I'm going to thank those people. So thank you to our generals, Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Jake Houchins, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Nathan Shank, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you guys so much as generals. Yep.
Yes.
And then we have our Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C Chris, Kendall Gelnar, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, and Thomas Hennessy, who recently won a trivia contest with us.
Big winner.
Yeah.
He knew
Got a
all the
dark
trivia.
gray heading his way.
Big winner. This week we have our general of spice himself, Micah Harrison, heading into the pod race, and we asked him, what is the most positive influence or lesson Star Wars has taught you over the years? Whether that was as a kid, now as an adult, or something that has continued to show you throughout your life. So Micah, go ahead and take it away.
Hey TRB, hope everyone had a great holiday. Congratulations on the new youngling, Lacey. She's beautiful. I swear you guys give me the best questions. Star Wars has taught me a lot over the years. Standing up for what's right, fighting for your friends. So many great lessons. But I think one of the lasting impressions I have from Star Wars, and that's been on my mind more recently, is no matter even the baddest villain out there has a soul and a past, and if you look at them in the right light or with the right eyes, everyone has good in them still, like Luke with Darth Vader, and even Kylo and Rey. And maybe that it's never too late to change is something that's been sticking with me. Redemption. As I've gotten older and you see more of the world, that stands out to me more, I think. It's kind of a hard pill to swallow too, though, because there's some really bad people out there. But if you can feel the conflict within them, maybe you can help them let go of their hate. Sometimes it just takes a good person to believe you can still be that way, like Luke, as I said. But thank you guys. Congratulations to Lacey again, and may the force be with you. Oh, General Greybeard, I'm coming for you.
Nicely done, Micah. It's not as spicy necessarily as you have been in the past, but it's still a really cool question. And you gave a good answer. So, John, what did you think?
Well, first off, I like that there's competition in the Beard Squadron, as he called out General Greybeard at the end there. So we have a lot of beards in the Resistance, and Micah's is definitely on the Mount Rushmore, I think. So I thought that was funny. I know you say, we always give you the great questions, but you give the great answers too, man. You definitely get deep sometimes. I know you like to be goofy and have a good time, but you definitely have that sentimental side, and it came through here in a really good way. I like what you had to say about, there's still good in him, and that can be carried out through life. And maybe that's something sometimes we need to point at ourselves, when you feel bad about maybe things you've done or things you could have done better or regrets, that deep down maybe that good person is still always there, and it's never too late. So I like what you had to say there. So great job as always, Micah. Love you, man. You're one of the best people to interact with, and I'm so glad that I'm honored that you are are one of our spice runners, and I can't wait to do your spice run. That's going to be a really great time. So thanks a lot, buddy, and I'll talk to you soon. If I don't see you, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
James?
No, you're dead on. Exactly everything you said. You know, it's so funny too. There's that big story at the end, like no matter what you've done, you can always be redeemed. You can always change who you are. You know, there's always room for redemption and all that stuff. And it's so funny that a lesson like that just completely flies in the face of everything that's going on online and everything, where everybody's holding everybody to fire for something they said like 10 years ago. Like if Darth Vader had a Twitter.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? He would have said all these terrible things and no one would ever let him forget it. So it's kind of one of those things to take a lesson from Star Wars and let people learn from their mistakes and stuff like that. It's a very good answers that you give as far as how it's made you a better person and have a better understanding of what it means to be human and what it means to live a good life. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. And it's funny too that you call out the General Greybeard. Like we're starting a little controversy in the base here. So
I love
thanks
that he was just
thanks for it. Yeah.
I love how he's just like, you know, people can change. People aren't all bad. And then he's like, yo, Greybeard.
All right.
Micah, great answer. Thank you so much for the well wishes for my baby. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. I really liked you saying that you really enjoyed or took away the lesson of standing up for what's right, because that's definitely what stood out to me from a very, very early age, especially with Princess Leia. The reason I connected with her so quickly was because she was like always willing to stand up for what was right, even if it was the tough decision or the hard decision or the decision where, you know, she was faced with a lot of difficulty or she could even die, and she was willing to fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a really good message. But anyway, thank you so much for being a part of the community. We really appreciate it. You're so awesome. And even though this wasn't the spiciest take, we appreciate your general spice as our general of spice. And we hope to talk to you soon. Happy holidays. And now we're going to head to John.
All right. So I think because we're up on time, what if we pick one of these questions and tackle it together? Does that sound good to you guys?
Sure.
I'm down. Whatever.
All right. Real quick, I wanted to say Spotify did that whole year in review thing. And so many people...
They checked your urine? They did a urine review?
Shut up, James. James all goofy tonight.
Yeah.
Real big banana.
John, I hope your tests came back all right.
Banana of the year.
Your jokes are poop.
I almost made a poop joke earlier privately.
What? What is happening?
Maybe you guys will see it.
John is trying to make this heartfelt moment message.
Yeah.
Oh,
James.
About
James
his Spotify year in review?
No.
So Spotify does this year in review thing where it tells people what the top artists they listen to were, the top podcasts, and a lot of people had us in their top 5 podcast rotation on Spotify.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I know we've been growing over there. This has been our biggest year on Spotify by far. We doubled our audience there, our followers, and all of that. So thank you. But for the people who shared that, I retweeted all of them. I didn't care. I don't care if people muted us after that. That meant so much to us because, you know, our audience is still, our biggest audience is still audio right now. And the fact that people have us in such a rotation with the amount of episodes we put out, when you see our podcast next to big ones like Joe Rogan and stuff, who makes billions of dollars podcasting, it's just kind of crazy that people have us on their list. So I just want to thank everybody who does listen to us on audio platforms. We do love our YouTube as well, but the fact that you shared that with us meant a great deal to the three of us. So thank you very much. And here's to 2022, and hopefully more people finding TRB thanks to you listening to us, because I think that's how that sort of thing works. So appreciate that very much. But so let's tackle a question here. Lacey, which one? Let's just go. Do you see the notes? 1, 2, or 3?
Do you want to say what the segment is?
Oh, Ask the Resistance? Yeah. So this is what happens. We put out a tweet and say, hey, send us questions. It's called Ask the Resistance. That's what it's called.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
for the graphics sake, I guess. We haven't done Ask the Resistance in a while.
I know.
But
I know.
1, 2, or 3. Which
I think 2's too close to what we're talking about on Thursday.
I agree with that. And so is 1.
So is 1.
So we'll do 3.
All right.
So the question from Robbie-L at RBRAYM. Rbraim. What's up, buddy? He said, will there be or should there be an Ahmed Best style fan-initiated apology for Jake Lloyd for the treatment he received for The Phantom Menace? I'm going to start and say no. Just because I don't like the idea of if some people said something to somebody, I have to own it too. I don't believe in that because that's like this person killed somebody and they happen to also listen to this type of music. Like, I'm not going to be like, I apologize for that. Like, I think how he was treated was horrible. Obviously, it affected him for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he's past it or not, I don't think there needs to be some sort of galvanized "we support you" thing. I think he understands that. I think he realizes that what people did back then was terrible and how they treated a little kid and all that stuff. And it's 22 years removed. I don't know that there needs to be this whole every fan who's a Star Wars fan needs to come together to apologize to this kid when it was probably a group of either nasty critics, bad fans, and stuff like that. Like the whole, the new group that I'm not even going to mention their name that's out now being jerks about Star Wars. Like, I wouldn't apologize for them, so I'm not going to apologize to whatever that was called back then. Does that make sense?
No, it does, absolutely. My initial take on that was the same in the sense of no, I don't think there needs to be or that there will be. I mean, it could always happen where somebody's going to say, hey, on behalf of all Star Wars fans, I apologize, and it gets retweeted like 50,000 times. That could happen. But to me, when comparing this specific comparison here to Ahmed Best, I felt like the biggest reason Ahmed Best got the recognition that he did, say at Star Wars Celebration, he got a standing ovation, everybody was really recognized, it was on the heels of something he did on his own, which was put out this video that talked about his reaction and how it affected him when he got that sort of negative treatment from the thing. So everybody watched that. Everybody watched that video and was like, "Holy crap!" Like even if I was or was not a part of that type of negativity, I feel it now and it feels bad. So on the heels of that, and then going right into Celebration, it felt like everybody was they just wanted to be on his side and wanted to show him that, hey, we're here with you, despite the fact that you went through this thing. I think that if Jake Lloyd wants to be in the public eye again, he wants to get back into whatever he wants to do, with his life, and he becomes a little bit more like, hey, I'm a person, and we start to see it and we start to recognize it. I think naturally, it's not like anybody doesn't feel this way, but I think naturally it just will come down to us looking him as, he's a real person, and maybe some people didn't treat him right, back then. So I think it's important to just recognize that stuff. But I'm being very specific on your answer, Robbie. Like, will this happen? Should it happen? I don't know that it should. I think John's right on that. But I think that comparing it to the Ahmed Best thing is a little different, because Ahmed Best took it into his own hands to recognize the situation very publicly and still continues to be in the public eye, appearing even within Star Wars on his own Star Wars TV show. So it's like, he's right there. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Lacey. I feel like we're...
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you. I think you made very good points. I think, the big thing here is, like James said, Ahmed Best made that Twitter thread where he talked about how he almost took his own life because of the situation with Star Wars and the criticisms he was getting. And I think that's a whole nother level that any human being with any empathy would be like, okay, this is bad. Like, this, you can't ever say that, like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, that's at a whole nother level that you have to support someone when they come forward like that. Like, That's not like saying like, hey, I didn't like your movie. Like, that's a whole different level that I can't even imagine the darkness that he was being faced with. So I agree with you, James. I think that unless Jake Lloyd came forward and said something like that, I don't think people are going to actively search him out to apologize. I do think there has been kind of a prequel kind of redemption type thing happening over the past few years, especially with Hayden Christensen, with Ahmed Best, but they're in the public eye and they're in Star Wars projects, so it's a little bit different. I think if Jake Lloyd attended a celebration or something, he'd probably get a standing ovation, and he'd probably get the recognition he deserved, and people would appreciate him and want to get pictures with him and autographs and such. But that's really on him. Like you said, James, I don't think people are going to look for him or search him out because I don't think he's really in the public eye.
It's tough too, because Ahmed Best was an adult when he went through this, and it still affected him. And but yet, like, he was able to, I don't want to say overcome it, because he probably still deals with stuff. But the thing is, like, he has returned, and he still is in the public eye, and he still is on social media and things like that. Whereas Jake Lloyd has very much disappeared because of these types of things. And there might be more to the story. Maybe we didn't know, that he was eventually going to suffer from these mental things or whatever. I don't know. But it could have been all Star Wars related. So, I think starting this whole thing with just hoping that Jake gets better or he feels okay. I don't know exactly what the story is with him, but I know that he is very private now, whereas at least Ahmed is a little bit more public and willing to still be like a figure in that sense. So
absolutely. But yeah, so will there be or should there be? I don't know. You'd like to think that people would eventually apologize to him, and I'm sure he has heard things over the years that people have said like, hey, I'm sorry you went through this. But again, that's kind of on Jake Lloyd of if he wants that recognition, if he wants that experience or not. But I hope that he's well, and I hope that whatever he's deciding to do, he's made his own decision to do it, that no one's forcing him to do one way or the other.
I think the latest thing is that he has moved closer with his family recently, and so maybe you're right, Lacey. Maybe he doesn't want the public eye, and like you both said, maybe that would be worse for him or something. Like jog up old things that he tried to get rid of. So
doesn't want to deal with it. Yep.
So I hope that answered your question well enough, Robbie. And we have more questions that you all sent in, but we're up against time here. So we're gonna hop out, but we'll get some more Ask the Resistance going in the next few weeks here, especially with Boba Fett. And when those episodes come out, you probably have some awesome questions for us to talk about. So thanks to everybody for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. We're so glad to be back. We are going to be back Thursday. We're going to talk a little bit more about some speculation on Boba Fett and have a fun chat. Because I think our last discussion on the podcast was about betrayal. That's how long ago it was, right, James?
Yeah.
But make sure you do subscribe to the show, like Lacey said, on your preferred audio platform or youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. Like we said before, Star Wars Newsnet every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Johnny Hoey on Twitter, writing and editing at Star Wars Newsnet, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies, putting out our episode tomorrow on the first Spider-Man from 2002, way before the dancing and the eyeliner and all that stuff. So, James, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks. That's it.
Okay. Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin. And once again, thank you guys so much for all your nice messages and well wishes and everything. It meant a lot to me, and it continues to mean a lot to me.
She's back.
I'm back. With a baby, as John would say.
So we will be back Thursday. Thank you to everyone. Enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you then right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.